Hello, and welcome to our second video on beginning lean. My name is Ben Root, and I'm with the Roots of Kaizen consulting group. And our consulting group focuses on developing lean leaders and in supporting people as they move ahead with their lean activity. We hope you find these videos helpful. And if you do, and you think that there's a way that we might support you or coach you in your lean efforts, please contact us. There's no charge for that. We can just discuss and see what you would like. Our information is listed on the slides. I hope you enjoy this video, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you again for watching. One important teaching in lean is reflection. And reflection means just take a pause, just stop. You've already done a step, maybe you've made some improvements, but before you just go running on further, let's reflect on what you learned. So at this point, we're going to just reflect on what we learned during that last video. We learned that there were 11,000 employees out of work in Fremont, California. That's very serious, 11,000 people. And if they have families, and you multiply that 11,000 by, say, 4 people in the family, 40-some thousand people affected by that layoff. It was the worst of the worst automobile plants that General Motors had at the time, worst in every way you looked at it, costs, quality of the product, employee relations, employee workforce, the turnover, absenteeism. It was just very, very difficult to operate that plant. And so what General Motors did, as what many of us do, when there's a problem, we throw either money at it or people at it. We always say, oh, we need more people, or we need different people, we need better people, or we need more money, lots of more money. We need to buy something bigger, more expensive. But often that is not the solution to our problem. So that plant was closed in 1982. A padlock was put on the front gate, and 11,000 people were out of work. So that's our reflection. For those of you that didn't watch that video yet, or just watching it, or would like to watch it, it was lesson number 1 on becoming lean, and here's a link to that video. So welcome everybody to our second lesson on becoming lean. And so, to summarize our reflections, back at the Fremont plant in California, they were looking again ahead at the mountain. What do we do now? The plant's been closed. The GM plant in Fremont was called the Battleship because it looked like a battleship. And to work there, it felt like you were working in a battleship. There were battles daily between the employees and between the managers, between the union. And so the General Motors plant was closed, locked, put a padlock on the front gate, and put 11,000 employees out of work. And those employees, because they were associated with that NUMMI plant, were just considered to be losers. They were the worst of the worst and unemployable. So with that situation, as dismal as it seems, NUMMI was the beginning of lean. After we have done a good reflection and we have an understanding of what we were learning, next thing we want to do is grasp the situation. In this video, we're going to grasp the situation of what it was like in 1982. But it's important for you to think about grasping the situation where you are currently. If you're going to do lean in just a small team in one area, then think about what is the current situation there. If you're going to do a broader lean implementation throughout the whole plant, you need to grasp that situation. So often we think, oh, okay, let's go attend a lean seminar and let's come back and start lean. But before you begin, really you need to grasp this current situation. And so these three entities, UAW, GM, and Toyota, we're going to get together and open a plant. So let's look back in 1982 and let's grasp the situation for each of these entities.
General Motors also was very excited about the opportunities that they could gain by working with Toyota and Fremont. It sounded so simple, just form a joint venture. But when they came home and they really started listening to their fellow General Motors workers, they heard comments such as these: are you going to help Toyota compete with us at General Motors by giving them the plant in Fremont? We are American workers, and this new joint venture will never work here. We don't think it will work, and in fact, we don't want it to work.
Now let's look at Toyota. Toyota also went to the seminar, and they're excited about coming to the United States. And boy, there's this plant sitting empty, and it would just be perfect for them to experiment and see if the Toyota system could be implemented here in America. They wanted to deal with American employees, and they wanted to deal with diversity. They wanted to learn how to deal with American suppliers and American customers. So what an opportunity. But when you went back to Toyota and you really grasped the current situation, you heard, we're not going to give you the Toyota production system to American workers. Now let's take a look at the United Auto Workers. At the time, they represented Ford and Chrysler and General Motors. And in 1982, 83, 84, they wanted to get these employees from the General Motors plant in Fremont back to work. So they also at the seminar said, oh, this looks wonderful, let's try it. Let's just go back and do it tomorrow. But without looking closer, they could have had some very difficult times. Here's actually what other people were saying within the UAW. You're not going to teach our members to work in teams. That was unheard of in America. You're not going to teach our members to time each other's jobs. Brothers and sisters in the union did not time each other or did not measure the performance of each other. That was managers' jobs. You're not going to teach our members to solve problems. That's management's job. So they could see that there's a flip-flop going on here when they started introducing lean. And all these things had to be addressed if they were going to do lean and do it successfully. There's another entity, I guess you could call it a fourth entity, that I didn't mention before. And that is the American public. And when the American public heard about this idea of Toyota coming to America and being given the General Motors plant, you can only imagine. If you think of our political situation in these days, it was just like that back then. And people like Lee Iacocca were in Washington, D.C., defending Chrysler and Ford and saying, you're not going to let the Toyota come to the United States. So this was another part or an entity that had to be dealt with also before they could introduce the Toyota production system. So what were the American public thinking? First of all, you heard things like, are you crazy? Just complete disbelief. This cannot be happening. I don't believe what I'm hearing. and with the politics, and Democrat or Republican. We're both saying the American public will never stand for this idea.
Again, on the side of the American public, there was really a just, wait, what? What did you say? Do I hear this right? You're going to hire back those same managers that fought with the employees in the union? And you're giving an automobile plant to Toyota so that they can come to the United States and compete with our manufacturing?
And then you also heard on the streets, you are going to hire back those same losers who caused the plant to close. Why would you do that?
And so now we're at the point in our video where General Motors and Toyota and the UAW have all been meeting. And they're pretty excited about the vision they see for the future. It's a little bit like us when we attend the Lean workshop, when we get all excited. And those workshops are great. They're very informative and educational. But sometimes we return to our properties and say, what do we do now? What do we do on Monday morning? And this is what the three entities were facing. So what did they do to go from the worst of the worst auto plants in America to the best of the best auto plants in America in a relatively short time? We'll talk about that in our next video.
And so I want to thank you again for watching this video. I hope it's been of help to you, something of value, something that you can use. If while you were watching the video you thought of some ways we might help you or support you in your lean efforts, we'd love to do that. Give us a call or send us an email. Our contact information is listed on the slides. So now that we've talked about the importance of grasping the situation, the importance of reflecting, one of the next steps is preparing the job site. And what does that mean? That's really huge. It sounds so small, but it's really preparing the executive management, preparing the team members, preparing the suppliers that will be affected, the customers that will be affected by our lean efforts. So we'll talk about where to go or how to begin on that in our next message. I did have a video on preparing the work site, and I've included it here on the slide. And if you'd like to, here's the address to that video, and you're welcome to watch that before our next video. Thanks once again for watching, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.